Lily, a resilient single mother, tirelessly juggled the responsibilities of her flourishing repair shop and her young daughter's upbringing. One fateful afternoon, she encountered an old man, his eyes weary but gleaming with hope, as he held out a phone that seemed to be the gateway to his soul. This device wasn't just any ordinary piece of technology. It contained the treasured memories of his beloved wife, now a silent guardian of his solitude. Touched by his plight, she meticulously repaired the phone, unaware that her compassionate act would soon spin a tale of profound gratitude. The following day, a dazzling Lamborghini, a spectacle of opulence, pulled up dramatically in front of her unassuming shop, its engine purring like a contented lion. The door swung open, revealing the very same elderly gentleman, now transformed by a mysterious air of prosperity. Hello everyone, welcome to Tales with Sekos. Today I'm going to share an exciting story with you. There was a quaint little phone repair shop nestled on the corner of a quiet street, bathed in a warm glow from the flickering neon sign above its door. Its name, Lily's Lifeline, was more than just a catchy title. It was a beacon of hope for the small community and, in many ways, for its devoted owner, Lily. She was a woman of unyielding resilience, though life had handed her more challenges than she could count. Barely scraping by, Lily divided her days between trying to keep her beloved shop afloat and caring for her 8-year-old daughter, Luna. Luna wasn't like other children. Her smile could light up the darkest of days, but she required special medical care, which only added to the weight on Lily's already stooped shoulders. Yet, through it all, Lily never let the spark in her eyes fade. The same could be said of the shop itself. Modest, overworked, but driven by purpose. It might have been small and worn, but it teemed with love and quiet determination, much like its owner. On a particularly cold and dreary afternoon, as grey clouds painted the skies and icy winds nipped through the streets, the familiar tinkle of the shop's bell broke the otherwise still silence. Lily looked up from her work to see an elderly man shuffle through the door, his frail frame wrapped in a threadbare coat. Despite his hunched posture, there was an air of dignity about him. His hands, rough with age, clutched a phone that bore the scars of a life well used, a cracked screen, scuffed edges, and a faint, lingering hint of past memories. He stood there for a moment, looking around hesitantly, as if he were unsure whether he'd made the right choice in coming. Finally, he stepped forward, offering the phone to Lily with trembling hands. His voice was barely more than a whisper as he said, "I can't get it to turn on. It's all I have left of my wife, Clara." Lily felt her chest tighten with sympathy. The man's words carried a weight that went far beyond technology or mere possession. In his weathered face and glistening eyes, she saw a love that had endured, an unspoken story of a life lived side by side with someone dear. This wasn't just a phone to him, it was a time capsule, holding echoes of laughter, whispered secrets, and the tender voice of a woman who had been his world. Clara. Her name lingered in the air like a soft sigh. The device in his hands wasn't just electronic. It held the last fragments of a love story that had spanned more than 6 decades. It was a tether to a past that he was desperately fighting to hold on to. Though her own heart carried its own set of burdens and worries, bills unpaid, a dwindling customer base, and Luna's ever-present medical needs, none of that mattered in that moment. Lily made her decision without hesitation. The choice was as natural as breathing. "Let me see what I can do," she said gently, her voice warm with compassion as she took the phone from his hands. The task ahead was no simple one. The repair required extraordinary care, steady hands, and the kind of patience that only came from understanding what was truly at stake. With the phone laid out on her workbench, Lily immersed herself in her craft. Hours ticked by as she carefully took the device apart, inspecting each tiny component with meticulous attention. The shop, usually alive with the sound of her occasional hums or Luna's laughter when she was around, was utterly silent, save for the rhythmic ticking of the clock and the faint hissing of the soldering iron. Every now and then, she glanced toward Charles, who sat quietly in a corner of the shop, his gnarled fingers nervously twisting the brim of his hat. Despite his calm exterior, the anxiety etched into his face was unmistakable. For Lily, this was more than just fixing a phone. It was an act of restoring something precious to a man who had already lost so much. She worked with the utmost care, pouring not just her skill, but also her heart into the effort. The intricate circuits and fractured screen became her battlefield, and she fought valiantly to bring the phone back to life. Piece by piece, she reassembled it, as if stitching together not just a device, but the intangible threads of someone's cherished memories. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the phone vibrated softly and the screen flickered on. Lily let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The device was battered but functional, its soul restored. She turned to Charles, a small triumphant smile lighting up her face. "It's working," she said softly, holding it out to him. Charles's eyes widened, and for a brief moment they seemed to shimmer with life. His hands trembled as he took the phone from her. He unlocked the screen with practiced familiarity, and there it was, a gallery of old photos and the precious recordings of Clara's voice. As the first faint notes of Clara's laughter filled the shop, Charles let out a choked sob, his head bowing in gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his words barely audible through the lump in his throat. Lily blinked back her own tears, watching as the elderly man seemed to reconnect with a piece of his heart. In that moment, the struggles of running her little shop, the unpaid bills, and the weight of Luna's care faded to the background. What she had done wasn't about money or survival. It was about love, about humanity, and about the quiet, powerful importance of helping another person carry their burdens, even if just for a little while. And as the neon sign above Lily's lifeline buzzed faintly, its light flickering against the encroaching dusk, it seemed brighter than ever. Lily smiled to herself, knowing that no matter how tough the road ahead would be, this little shop of hers truly lived up to its name. It was, for moments like these, a lifeline. 3 hours later, the device chirped with the promise of a new message, a sound that seemed to echo through time itself. Charles, who had been anxiously waiting, felt his heart skip a beat as his shaky hands retrieved the phone. His eyes, dulled by years of longing, ignited with a youthful brilliance, like stars breaking through a murky night. He brought the device to his ear, his breath hitching in anticipation. And then, her voice, Clara's voice, as clear as if she was standing beside him, fluttered through the tiny shop. It was like hearing a song he thought he'd forgotten, the lilting cadence of her words, the tenderness in her tone. She spoke as if no time had passed, recounting a love that had never faded, a love that had survived distance, grief, and the abyss of loss. Charles stood frozen, as if the shop around him could crumble and he wouldn't notice. Tears welled up in his eyes, blurring his vision until they spilled over, carving streaks of raw emotion down his cheeks. He sank onto a wooden stool, shoulders trembling, his entire world suspended in that moment. When the message ended, silence returned to the dusty little shop, save for the faint hum of the machines. Charles wiped his damp eyes and turned his gaze to Lily, the memory restorer who stood quietly nearby. She'd watched the whole scene unfold, her heart heavy yet warmed by the depth of his gratitude. Charles fumbled in his pockets, his fingers brushing against the crumpled remnants of a modest life, loose change and a few worn bills. He straightened up, though his voice was thick with emotion, and asked softly, "How much do I owe you?" Lily, whose life was far from easy, understood that what she had given him could never truly be measured in money. She had returned something priceless, a fragment of his soul, a window to his past. Smiling gently, she shook her head. "Not a thing, Charles," she said. Her voice held both kindness and conviction. "Just promise me you'll cherish those messages." Charles nodded, unable to speak, but the silent gratitude in his tear-filled eyes said more than words ever could. He placed the phone close to his heart as he walked out of the shop, vanishing into the night with the weight of grief lightened and the warmth of Clara's voice still echoing in his soul. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight spilled across the sleepy town, painting the horizon in hues of soft pink and gold, Lily arrived at her shop. She unlocked the door with a sigh, her mind clouded by the cold realities of her life. The stack of unpaid bills on her desk, the landlord's firm reminder about the looming rent deadline, and the uncertainty of how she would make it through another month. She glanced out at the empty street, the stillness amplifying her worries. But the quiet was soon disrupted by an unfamiliar sound, the low hum of an engine. Startling in its elegance, a sleek black limousine glided to a stop outside her modest shop, its glossy exterior sharply contrasting with the worn bricks of the building. Lily's heart skipped, a surge of curiosity mingling with apprehension. From the car emerged a tall, sharply dressed man, his tailored suit impeccable, and his appearance exuding an air of quiet authority. He strode toward her, taking in the humble surroundings with an expression that she couldn't quite read. "Are you Lily?" he asked, his voice smooth yet tinged with emotion. When she nodded, he extended a hand. "My name is James. I'm Charles's son." Lily's surprise was evident, her brows lifting as she struggled to reconcile the connection. Before she could ask why he was there, James began speaking, his voice cracking slightly as emotion threatened to surface. "My father talked about you last night," he said. His sharp features softened as his gaze met hers. "He told me about your kindness, how you gave him something he thought he'd lost forever." James's eyes gleamed, and Lily could see the weight of his words. This was no casual visit. "You didn't just restore a message," he continued. "You brought my mother back to him in a way we never thought possible. You gave him peace, and for that, I owe you more than words can ever express." Lily's breath hitched as she listened. For months, she had quietly repaired devices and resurrected forgotten and broken voices from the past, never expecting recognition, let alone gratitude. Yet standing before her was a man who radiated sincerity, a man thanking her for her simple yet profound act of helping someone reconnect with love. Tears sprang to her eyes, but she blinked them away, suddenly feeling the weight of the moment shift, as if something unexpected and life-changing was about to unfold. James was the CEO of a prestigious and innovative electronics company, a man known for his forward-thinking leadership as much as his penchant for recognizing untapped talent. He had spent years building a corporate empire that was both highly successful and deeply respected, but he prided himself on fostering a culture that valued compassion as much as profit. And now, he had a proposition for someone who had proven to have not just skill, but also heart, the kind of person who could breathe new life into the soul of his company. They were preparing to launch a brand new flagship store, a sprawling space designed to blend cutting-edge technology with community-focused initiatives. To make this vision a reality, James needed someone who could manage a vital cornerstone of the store, the repair department. It wasn't merely about fixing broken gadgets. It was about preserving memories, honoring craftsmanship, and respecting the true worth of the devices that came through their doors. He had just the right person in mind. Lily. Sitting across from her, he made his pitch. "Would you consider the position?" James asked, his voice calm but filled with conviction. "The pay is $70,000 a year, and full health benefits are included." Lily froze, her breath catching in her throat. For as long as she could remember, life had been a constant balancing act, a tightrope walk over an abyss of uncertainty. Every bill, every medical expense for her daughter Luna had felt like an insurmountable mountain. Now, in a single moment, James was offering her not just a job, but a lifeline. Stunned, she nodded, words escaping her as the weight of her worries seemed to lift, dissolving like morning fog under a rising sun. James smiled warmly and slid a small envelope across the table toward her. "There's one more thing," he said. "Consider this a surprise. It's a donation to cover Luna's medical expenses." Lily hesitated at first, but as her trembling hands opened the envelope, tears welled up in her eyes. Gratitude overwhelmed her, her heart swelling with a bittersweet mix of relief and disbelief. The following week marked the beginning of Lily's new chapter. She walked into the gleaming corporate headquarters of James's company, a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling inside her. She couldn't help but smile as she carried her beloved, worn-out tools into the pristine workspace, a stark contrast to the state-of-the-art equipment that surrounded her. Yet despite the sleekness of her new environment, Lily knew that no advanced gadget could replace the care, attention, and personal touch she wielded with her trusted tools. Determined to stay true to herself, she poured her energy into building her team. She shared her philosophy, teaching them not just the technical craft of repairing devices, but also the deeper, unspoken art of empathy and understanding. For Lily, it wasn't simply about fixing screens and circuits. It was about restoring the connection between people and their memories. Her approach inspired her team, and soon they were repairing more than electronics. They were healing hearts. Under Lily's leadership, the company took its vision a step further by launching a new initiative called Memories Matter. This program offered free repair services to seniors, a demographic often overlooked in the fast-paced world of tech. James had always envisioned his company as a bridge between people and technology, and this initiative brought that vision to life. Seniors flocked to the store, bringing battered phones, lagging tablets, and outdated laptops, each carrying cherished memories, old photos, voice notes from loved ones, or stories written but unfinished. For these individuals, the devices were more than just tools, they were portals to irreplaceable moments. Lily's daughter, Luna, soon became a familiar presence at the store as well. Bright-eyed and curious, she spent her afternoons after school in the repair shop, soaking in the knowledge her mother shared. But Luna's creativity didn't stop there. She found her own passion in digital storytelling. Using the same devices her mother repaired, she began helping seniors document their stories, capturing their lives in beautiful, heartfelt collages of photos and videos. Day by day, the connection between generations grew stronger as Lily's repair department transformed into a hub of renewed purpose and shared humanity. Word of the innovative program spread quickly, drawing customers from all corners of the community. People came with broken screens, cracked hard drives, and water-damaged devices, but what they left with was far more valuable than a working gadget. Each repair became a story, a piece of the past rediscovered. The store hummed with new life, alive with the buzz of excited conversations, the soft clicks of keyboards capturing fresh memories, and the joyous laughter of people reconnecting with fragments of their lives once thought lost. Under Lily's guidance, the repair department became the beating heart of the company, a place where technology and humanity met, and where healing happened in more ways than one. One sunny afternoon, a delivery truck pulled up with a special shipment for Lily. Inside were dozens of old, discarded phones destined for the Senior Center's program. Luna rushed over to help her mother, and together they worked tirelessly to breathe new life into these silent keepers of memories. As Lily worked, Charles popped in, his eyes alight with joy. "I come here every week now," he said, holding up his phone. "They're teaching us how to save our messages, so we never lose them." Luna looked up, her curiosity piqued. "Can I hear the message from your wife?" With a gentle smile, Charles played the recording. Clara's voice, warm and loving, filled the air. "Hello, my dear. Remember to take your pills, and I love you." The shop grew quiet as the employees took a moment to appreciate the profound impact of their work. In the months that followed, Memories Matter grew into a national program. High school students were offered apprenticeships, learning the trade under Lily's compassionate guidance. The store became a sanctuary for the elderly, a place where they could connect with the modern world without fear of losing their past. Luna grew into a skilled technician herself, her youthful enthusiasm and empathy inspiring everyone around her. And each night, as Lily tucked her into bed, she knew that the kindness she had shared had created a legacy that would resonate far beyond the walls of Lily's lifeline. The story of Lily's kindness had become a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that sometimes the most powerful tool in our arsenal is the willingness to lend a hand and mend a heart.